Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Professor Dr. Rizwan Jamil Qureshi, and I'm starting lecture number 19 of System Analysis and Design course. In my previous lecture, I talked about how to design forms and reports. The topic of today's coverage is interfaces and dialogue. So, how to define interface? A point of contact between user and the computer. That is called interface in generically. And then we have dialogues. The way of interaction, the mode of interaction between user and the computer is a dialogue. So we have dialogue diagramming. How many techniques are there in the interfaces? But before I go in detail, the logical design is composed of designing forms and reports, interfaces and dialogue, and normalization. That is logical design. And this normalization belongs to the logical schema in which ERD diagram, entity relationship diagram, we already covered in analysis phase. So we are in the design phase and we are covering the interfaces. How many techniques are there to design the interfaces? That is my question to all of you. There are two types of techniques, CLI and GUI. CLI stands for cat, alpha line, I for ink. So cat and line are fighting for the ink. No, it is command line interface. How to define command? An instruction to the computer is called a command. Like we have DOS, MS-DOS, disk operating system, not D for donkey, O for ox, S for Superman. So ox, donkey and Superman are fighting disk operating system. Ruby on Rails also have command line interface. Python also have command line interface. Cabol also have command line interface. So there are command line interface. And then Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple company, introduced Mac, the first graphical user interface operating system. How to define graphical user interface? Graphical user interface is a method of interaction using forms, menus, icons, and natural language. So there are four main components of graphical user interface. That was the idea of Steve Jobs. And he introduced Macintosh operating system, the first graphical user interface operating system in 1984 was introduced by Apple company. So what is a form? There are two types of definitions for the form. One is the normal definition that I covered in the previous lecture. Form is a business document having some predefined data and some open space need to be filled by the user, like registration forms. And then menu. How to define menu? List of commands under a single term, like file menu, edit menu, help menu, insert menu. Or you go to restaurant or hotel, so they will give you menu to decide for your dinner or lunch. Icon is the third component of graphical user interface. A graphical symbol that has some specific command. So every picture is not icon. Make it clear. Note it down. A graphical symbol that has specific command, like my computer, the shortcut, command button, text box, label box, check box, option box, combo box. Natural language is the fourth component of graphical user interface. Native speaking or conventional speaking language of the customer. Like if you develop a software for Chinese customers, the natural language will be Chinese, even you are Indian, Pakistani, or whatever your nationality is there, whatever your native language is there, Hindi, Urdu, Arabic. Similarly, if we develop a software for France, their native or conventional speaking language is French, Germany. For America, it will be English. In Saudi Arabia, it will be Arabic, or Gulf countries, it will be Arabic. So the dialogues come to the user while using a software, or when he uses his mouse close to any icon, it will show a dialogue, it will show a label. That is the fourth component of graphical user interface. So command line interface and graphical user interface are two techniques to design the interfaces. Normalization is the third part of logical design. Normalization is a technique to convert the complex data structure into simple and stable data structure. Unnormalized data is there, and we have forms up to 5 normal form. First normal form, second normal form, third normal form. After that there is BCNF, voice code normal form, fourth normal form, and fifth normal form. Normally the software companies go up to, they design up to third normal form. They don't go for BCNF, voice code normal form, fourth normal form, fifth normal form. And there is a primary key and the foreign key. So primary key in one table becomes foreign key in another table. In first normal form, we write the attributes against the entities, like student ID, student name, course ID, course name, credit hours, employee ID, employee name, department ID, department name. In the second normal form, all the non-key attributes should be fully dependent on the primary key, like STID, customer ID, EMP ID, citizen ID. And the third normal form, any non-key attribute should not depend on other non-key. If it is dependent on the other non-key, make a separate table. So this is up to third normal form. Physical design, the physical schema. So we covered the logical schema. Now the physical schema started in the physical design. Physically construct the database, tables and fields. So what technique we use to design the tables? Again, we have CLI technique and GUI technique. Command line interface and graphical user interfaces to design the databases, tables, fields in Microsoft SQL Server, MySQL, Oracle Server. So we have database management systems. How to define database management system? A system that allows us to create, access and manage the database. Then hierarchical chart or system structure design That is the next part of the physical design for structured development, not for object-oriented development. So you have hierarchy or hierarchical charts, which are like the organizational charts, such as King Abdulaziz University, an organization, president, we have 3 vice presidents, then we have faculties, under faculties you have dean, then we have 3 vice dean like dean FCIT, faculty of computing and information technology, vice dean academics, vice dean graduate studies, vice dean for Abbott, the quality assurance. Then under them, chairman IT, chairman CS, chairman IS, there are 3 departments in FCIT. Then under the chairman, professor, associate professor, assistant professor, lecturer, TAs, instructors are there. So you start from the top and you go down up to the most linear level. You break the main modules into sub-modules. It is a control structure approach or structured programming, also top-down development and modular development. You look the problem from top to down and divide it into modules. The next part of the physical design, algorithm designing. How many techniques are there? There are 5 techniques to design the algorithm: pseudocode, flowchart, decision table, decision tree, and nest diagram. Flowchart is the most widely used technique because we have graphical symbols to design them. That is and the physical schema. After that you have external or user view schema. User view is a virtual relation that doesn't exist in the database, but it is generated from user's perspective, like you have joins, inner join, outer join, and primary key, foreign key concepts are there. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair. May Allah bless you. Assalamu alaikum.